I'm gonna introduce my Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna introduce myself first. My name is Carla. I work here at Avocademy. I'm a career mentor. I studied neuroscience and I like to explain about UX and UI design to kind of help all of you see the beauty of this field. So I'm gonna ask each and every one of you to introduce yourself, tell me a little bit more about what y'all used to do before joining Avocademy, and then what you're currently doing now as UX and UI designers. So, give me 1 second. Okay, so Nkosi, if you want to start, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Um, so basically, started out before UX design. Most of my jobs were in customer relations and data. I did not finish school. I was 2 years into my journalism degree until I was like, just want to kind of take a break, figure out what exactly I want to pursue for the rest of my life. So up until 2020, I was mostly doing that until I actually went to a very similar boot camp in 2020 called V School. And it was pretty solid. It gave me like a good foundation, but I definitely felt like my portfolio wasn't up to par for jobs as well as like my understanding of UX. So I did find some gigs, but I just didn't feel, I felt very much like an imposter at that time. So eventually I did some more self-learning, did some freelancing here and there, but I was really doing like other like jobs in that meantime until I found Avocademy. Originally I was gonna start in 2021, but I was like, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'll just do Coursera instead. And I tried Coursera and it was just so bad. Like having peers like grade your work just wasn't it for me. Like I felt like I really wasn't getting good feedback. And eventually I just kind of gave in. It was actually during Ramadan of this year when I was like, I really want to take UX seriously. So I reached back out to Avo because like those Instagram ads were like on me. Um, yeah, I know a lot of people find it from TikTok, but for me it was like Insta. And I was like, okay, because like, it's not too expensive. I can set it up on a payment plan. And yeah, I went through foundations and then eventually career jumpstart. And yeah, now I'm here and I got my job and yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Nikki, if you want, you can go next, and then Christy, you can go after.
Definitely. So, before my UX UI journey, I always worked in customer service, customer relations, customer experience, and anything admin related. So anything that I could be behind a computer and an Excel spreadsheet, that is where I was. My last year, I decided to go back to school to finish. I had gone back to school 4 times and never finished because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So I just finished to finish. And my last 2 classes were art classes because I refused to take any more career-based classes. And that's where I found like my life mentor, who actually told me to explore like why is it that I'm avoiding my creative side? And that there is a possibility to mix the administration, like Excel spreadsheet world with the actual artistic side of things. So we started down kind of a rabbit hole where I started looking things up. And when Avocademy came up, it just clicked. It made sense for me at that time. So yeah, I started in January. I'm never a new year, new me person, but it just happened to fall in that category and it worked out really well. So after that, I went into Career Jumpstart and I started my job a month ago. So
That's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Nikki. And then Christy, if you're ready, I would love to hear a little bit more about your background.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christie. In terms of my background, it was like similar to Alfie and Nikki, where it was customer service or customer base. I was working at automotive dealership, and due to the chip shortage and COVID, I felt like it was time to find a new a career path. I have my associate's degree, so I ended up getting my bachelor's or pursue the bachelor's degree. And I thought I wanted a career in human resource. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm really good at reading or understanding policies and procedures. And I landed a job as a technical recruiter, and being a technical recruiter is how I found out about UX UI design. And I took a course online on Figma, like, you go on YouTube and you just check things out. And I was like, okay, I want to make sure I understand how to use this tool, and is it for me? And then from there, I did take some courses on Coursera, and like Alfie said, the feedback was not there. And like, I wanted feedback from a mentor, someone that was well trained, as opposed to other students helping each other out. And with the Coursera tool, did not tell me about alignment. And I remember my first design, I did purple and pink, and you could not tell me anything. I was so confident in myself. I was like, this is awesome. And I did not know about color contrast, or there are certain rules you have to follow with UX UI. I thought you just draw and it was pretty and leave me alone. But then from there, actually, I think it was this year around this time where I actually met Carla. I saw the ads on IG. I'm a big Instagram person, and the TikTok dance and everything. And I was like, this looks to be good to be true. And I was Googling other places as well. And Carla actually took the time to talk to me. And I think it was like during Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I felt really bad talking to her, because I was like, she probably wants to go with her family. I was like, she's probably not going to take me serious. And she was like, do you have any other questions? And I was like, no. And, we got off the call. And then from there, I was still doing my research, because I was like, So I still doing my research. And then I said, you know what, for Christmas, this is what I want. I want to do UX, UI design. Plus I was finding myself more in Figma than doing my recruiter calls or doing the phone calls. I was like, you know what? I think this is for me, and this is the path for me. And here I am now. I'm currently working for an insurance company. So yeah.
That's amazing, y'all. Thank you so much for sharing and telling us a little bit more about yourself and your backgrounds and everything. I also wanted to apologize in advance if you see my light going on and off. It's a sensor light. So it's, taking some time to get adjusted to it. But anyways, just so it doesn't distract y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give a little description on what Foundations and Career Jumpstart is and the biggest difference between both of those. And then I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. So to start off with Foundations, that is our part 1 program where we teach UX research, UX design, UI design. It's about 8 to 16 weeks long. And you get to build your portfolio, build a project, and you get unlimited help from mentors on Zoom one-on-one. And you also get a Slack community, as you'll know, where you get to chat with student mentors and alumni as well. Then for Career Jumpstart, it's a part 2 program that now we have an application process for it. And in Career Jumpstart, we pretty much help you complete your portfolio with real client projects to get that real experience that a lot of companies are asking for now. And then we navigate you through the job search. So with that being said, I wanted to ask y'all, when did you start Foundations? How long did it take you to complete it? And how long did it take you to get a job? So just in case you guys lost me, the question is in the chat. So you guys can take a look at that. And yeah, I'll start off with Christie right now, if that's okay. And then y'all can just choose whichever one wants to go first.
In terms of Foundation, I got it as like a Christmas gift, and it said that I could start Foundation any Monday that I choose. I did the enrollment, I want to say like December 28th. And when I started, I want to say January 26th. And when I finished in April. Just because like with me, it took me a while and I'm not as cool or popular. So with Foundation, the first thing that you get to do is user interviews and interview people. And some people I couldn't find, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go find some people. It was pretty easy. Again, I only have like 5 friends, so I'm not as popular as you guys think I am, but I'm pretty sure most of you guys are popular, so it's easier to do. In terms of feedback, I got feedback really great. And I think the other question was, how long did it take for me to get my job? So in terms of getting my job, actually, it took me 3 months where I actually got an offer. However, they did not have the budget to bring me on board. So once that happened, because one thing that they say in CJ or Career Jumpstart is always apply, even if you feel like an offer is coming still. If it's not in writing, guys, it does not exist. If it's not in writing, if it's verbal, that's nice. But if it's not in black and white, it does not exist. So then after that, it took me 2 weeks to get my job after the other offer that I got, but that did not go through. And again, everyone here is very supportive. And me personally, I was putting out like at least 124 application a day, but again, I did not have a full-time job, so I had the time.
I'm trying to unmute myself and I'm like, how do I do this? But no, that's awesome. And where are you currently employed at right now?
I live in Massachusetts, so I'm currently employed with Plymouth Rock Insurance. So it's an insurance company. And one thing that I also want to say is once you do this, a lot of people say, what field do you want to work in? I'm like, any. They're like, no, what field do you want to work in? You sometimes now I'm like, okay, now I see what you guys meant. But I love it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for letting us know a little bit more about your experience with Foundations and Career Jumpstart. Nikki, if you want to go next.
Yeah, so I started Foundations, I think around the same time. It was like the 3rd week of January this year. I stretched it out because I was very unsure of myself. So I don't think I finished until the 16th week. Like I wanted to make sure that I was an expert, and I was not, but before moving on, I just needed to feel more secure. And once I finished that, I signed up immediately for Career Jumpstart. And that took me 3 months. Also because instead of doing just 3 projects, I decided to jump on another one because I was also scared to start applying. That imposter syndrome hits hard sometimes. And when I finally did start applying, it took me 2 months, 8 weeks to land a job. And I am currently employed as a contractor at Disney. So
that's super exciting, like Disney.
yes.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Awesome. What about you, Nkosi?
So yeah, I started Foundations. It was around Ramadan, so April. And yeah, on top of Ramadan, I was working, and then towards the end, I actually started really working full time. I think it took me from April to July. I can't do the math in my head right now, but that span of months. And then when I started Career Jumpstart, I was working full time during that. So I think it took me July, August. I think it took me until September until I started like applying for jobs, or maybe October, but yeah, around that range as well. And I got my first offer in I'm sorry, y'all, there's so many dates, but it's December. It was like November the 3rd around then, when I got my first offer. And yeah, I was applying to I think even during my job, I was applying to jobs on the toilet. I'd be easy applying on LinkedIn. Like there was never a point in time where I wasn't applying to jobs. It was so bad that my friends were like, bro, like we're supposed to be getting, I would be like on Indeed, like applying. So yeah, I was pretty adamant once I had my portfolio and felt confident in that. I was just like, at this point, like I know rejections are gonna come, so I'm gonna apply to as many as I can, because the worst thing they can say is no. But I know eventually, the interviews and eventually an offer is gonna come in. So yeah, I started at Credera on the 28th, and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, no, that's amazing that all of y'all got jobs within like even before a year of starting. So that's incredible. I do have a couple more questions to ask y'all. So one that Cynthia put on the chat was, did you find it easy to balance Career Jumpstart with a full-time job if y'all did have full-time jobs? And
Um,
whoever wants to go first can go first.
you go ahead, Nikki.
Okay, so easy is not the word. It was definitely not easy. It's doable. But I think if I could go back and kind of change something around, I would definitely prepare myself better for understanding that I was going to have really long days, that my weekends were going to be cut short. Like it is a sacrifice, worth it. But it's not just something to tack on at the end of the day. Like it's something that you need to really sit down and dedicate several hours to during the week. So I was working an 8 to 10 hour job and then added on. So it's very tiresome. And I think when I was done and finally got my offer, I slept for like 2 weeks. But
I feel like I would have done the same. Like just like decompressing, you know, like after the hard work, like you just gotta like decompress, celebrate however people see fit. But yeah,
find your
that's great.
mantra. Mine was, I'm going to be a sugar mama, which I know sounds ridiculous, but me and my boyfriend would walk around the house like, it's worth it. I'm going to be a sugar mama. It's fine.
No, I love that. You gotta manifest. I love it. Okay, Christy, if you want to go next, it would be awesome too. The questions are on the chat, so just in case you'll forget or you lose track of the questions, you can take a look at it there as well.
When I first started, not Career Jumpstart Foundation, again, I was working as a recruiter, so I did find it a little hard, or if it wasn't hard, it was just, I feel like my passion was more UX design. I was happy, like motivation was at an all-time high, and I couldn't wait to be off the clock. And again, on my lunch break, I'm like trying to design and I'm like reading. So like for me, I took faith in myself where I actually left my job as a recruiter to focus on this whole thing and just breaking into tech full time. And that was a big gamble because I knew I would be living off my savings account, and eventually if I did not find a job, not have any money and have to go back to work. So I took a big gamble, and I'm glad that I took a gamble on myself. I was like, I know I could do this. But again, when I was working, it was weird because I was tired, but it was a good tired, because I remember I said I was tired and my partner said, I used to work at the dealership as well too. They're like, and he said, are you tired like when you came home from the dealership working 12-hour shift, or how would you describe this tired? I said this tired is like an exciting time where I can't keep my eyes open anymore. And I'm like, okay, let me sleep and let me wake up again. Or before work, I will wake up 2 hours early because I was just super excited. Like it was just a lot of excitement for me.
Yeah, especially when it's like a kid with a brand new toy, right? Like you're waiting when you get it. It's like, okay, oh my God, like I want to start now, you know? So I can definitely understand that feeling. But thank you for sharing, Christy. And Nkosi, it's your turn.
Yeah, so working full time and doing Career Jumpstart, I also did the route of like doing two projects at once. And like, yeah, I was just excited to get into it. Like I knew that this was substantial. Like I saw how much I learned in foundations. So yeah, it took up a bunch of my free time. And there were times, like, I won't lie, like the people that I met through CJ and like one of my closest friends, Ella, like having them to like vent to and talk to about like everything, that I went through in the projects was like so incremental in me like moving forward. Because there were times when I was like, bro, but like absolutely having people to connect with is important. I think that's what really helped me through the whole process. And like I knew that this was all benefiting my future. So I wasn't really like burnt out on it because like I kind of like took this responsibility, and I knew that if I wasn't doing this, I probably would have been doing something else that was just like, not getting me to where I am today. So yeah, at points it was exhausting, but like Christie said, like it was a good feeling, you know, and I was happy that I was like had this opportunity and was learning so much. So yeah, I think if you have the mindset for it, like, you know, take as much time as you need because it will definitely help you, but also don't stress yourself out. You know, take one project at a time. If you feel like that's all you can do, like either or, there's, you know, eventually you're going to get to where you want to go. So, yeah.
Yeah. Maga just commented that Nkosi joined a CJ call one time and gave us an ASMI whispering update. Funny.
That was crazy
Um,
because, oh my God, let me not.
Alrighty, so I have another question. It says, what's your biggest advice for the interview process and job search? So whoever wants to go first can go first.
I can start. So I think the biggest thing, be prepared. Be prepared to be told no a lot, but also be prepared to question yourself, because I think there comes a time where it doesn't matter how many times you repeat something that you wrote down, you really have to dig in and understand why you're doing what you're doing, what's the reasoning behind what you chose, and be able to explain that with ownership. And I think the biggest thing for me was I knew a lot. I am like a sponge from reading, but I had a really hard time expressing myself. And the most important thing for me was to really dig in deep and find my own words to describe the things that I knew in my head. So that when I said them, they sounded more confident and they sounded like I actually knew what I was talking about. Because if I was just word vomiting all the things that I knew, it just sounded like chaos. So I think it's really important to never stop applying. Literally, like I had gotten my offer and I was still interviewing because I just needed to make sure that it was an absolute yes before I got out of this like hardcore mode. And prepare all the time. Like it doesn't matter how much you know, it matters how much it sounds like you know. That makes sense. But yeah.
It definitely makes sense. I remember I used to do that a lot at my past old job. I was like, I have to pretend like that I'm the most knowledgeable person in here. And honestly, like the more practice you get, the better you get at doing that, and the better you get at communication skills as well. So I definitely agree. Practice does make perfect. Christy, do you want to go next? Any advice that you would give for people interviewing?
In terms of interviewing, is be confident in yourself, because I was not confident at all in myself. And I think everyone on the call, even Maka, knew I drank a lot of coffee. So I went to interviews, guys. This is how I literally sound. Hi, my name is Christie. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so yes. And I'm like, I sounded crazy. I sounded like a nut job because I was so nervous. And when they asked me a question, in terms of saying, if I don't know the answer, it's best to say, I don't know the answer, or that's a good question, let me get back to you. I would be so defensive and just a little bit angry at myself for not knowing the question. But one thing I could say is if I did not know the question, I would write the question down, and next interview, I will be ready. And also to know your portfolio inside and out, because the project that I was not really passionate about actually got me hired because I learned to be passionate about it. And I was just like, oh, I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I'm not passionate, just because because in terms of your case study, I had 3 case studies, and there was one case study, it was like a sneaker app, and I knew everything about it. And I think everybody was just like, we're tired of this. Can you please show us something new? Please show us something new. So just knowing your case study inside and out is really good. And also just being confident, because I went into an interview and I said, the client went with a UI iteration 1. And they said, why did the client went with that as opposed to that? I said, because I designed it, that's why. And everybody just laughed. And I was like, yeah, you gotta be confident. I was like, that girl, you have to be confident in yourself. Because if you have any hesitation, or if you're not confident in yourself, guess what? The person interviewing you is not gonna be confident in yourself. in you. And sometimes I'm like, wow, there's a career path out there for a big mouth girl like me, because everyone that knows me personally on this call knows I have so much to say. My mouth is so big. I'm like, ah! Everybody knows me. So it's like, you have to be ready to defend your design and just know your portfolio inside and out and just be yourself. Because I remember when I had my first recruiter call, that's just a recruiter call. I took the call outside of my car because I was freaking out. And I think I asked like some weird question where I was like, do you know what software they're gonna use? What is this? And I think I didn't get, of course, another interview because I felt like I should have been confident in myself. And because I was not confident, I did not move to the next round. And you're gonna feel so confident in yourself to the point, like even Alfie like said, you're gonna be taking these recruiter calls in the bathroom, like, what do you want, Margaret? Yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it. All right. You're gonna be so confident. So show up to every interview. Like there is like, don't freak out, because some interviews I had with startups, they were with the CEO and you're like, oh my God, it's a CEO. Oh my God, I'm so scared. They don't understand design, but they do understand the process. And more importantly, they want to understand it also from a business point of, okay, what was the result? What was the metric? But don't be intimidated by a person's job title is what I would say. And just be confident in yourself and speak slowly, please. I'm done.
Period. I love that. I love everything that you mentioned in that, because it's true. I think having confidence in yourself and also the practice, right? Like what gives you that confidence is being able to practice, like look in the mirror and be like, this is what I know, and I'm gonna distribute my knowledge in this call, and just trusting yourself. But I love that you said that. Nkosi, any advice that you can give out?
Yeah, guys. So my experience with interviews might be kind of different because from a very young age, like I've always been working since 17. Like I've always had a job. And like around the ages of 19 and 20, I would apply to jobs that I wasn't qualified for. And just like eventually they would call and I'd be like, oh shoot, like how does this actually happen? And I would like kind of adjust my experience and tailor it to that. So I think that benefited me the most was just like, especially coming from like an age where I was like dealing with people and dealing with customers and dealing with those expectations, like whether it's in service or data or whatever, applying all of my previous experiences and knowing they hold value in this and knowing that they wouldn't be interviewing you if they weren't interested in you. And I feel like when it comes to like these interviews, like doubling down on what Christie had said, you know, knowing your portfolio front to back, you know, doing as much research on UX as you can. Like a lot of the questions that I've gotten through these interviews were very redundant. And I felt like very much just like being confident, giving them concise answers. And if they want more details, like definitely gives them that. Sometimes it's not so much as just like giving, even if it sounds like a yes or no question, they kind of want you to give that more detail without asking them that. And if you're able to do that and get to the point and give them exactly what they want to hear, like you're good. Like I feel like don't be nervous. Like it's definitely an understandable feeling, but there will always be more opportunities for you. And I think keeping that in mind and knowing that it's not just this or the end of the road is very important. And also asking them questions as well. For every job that I got an offer for, like I didn't just stop at the questions that I had, or the only question I had wasn't just like, oh, something about the company. Like I would ask them, like, can you name me a time where you felt like you were challenged or where you felt you had to defend your own design decisions or so on and so forth? Just whatever kind of like, you know, had something connected to our conversations. And the response would be, oh, wow, no one's ever asked me that before. Or is this and that? Or like, oh, that's a really good question. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, no, I got him. But no, absolutely, like asking them questions, not just about the company, but about them as designers or whoever they may be, because they love that. And I feel like that definitely shows them that you're someone that has a lot of knowledge in your field and someone that they would like to hire. And yeah, apply to as many jobs as you possibly can. Because when you know you have those options and you know, like you put that work in, even if an interview seems like a bust, you know you have more coming. And I won't lie, like I remember the first job I had, you know, moved forward with was Blue Raven Solar. My last interview was the design challenge, which I absolutely hated. Like whole interview, the CEO was there, he's like, Like he seemed so upset, and I was like, oh my God, like I put so much time into this. I don't know what's gonna happen. But before I heard the results of that, I was already getting other interviews, and I was like, well, even though that's probably what is going to be a bust, which it did, I know that I have other options. And I feel like that confidence and knowing that traffic was going to continue to come, just made me better at interviewing. And I love just talking anyway. So doing Q&As type of interviews was easy for me. If Credera, PNC, or Weave ever did a design challenge, I probably would have gotten that job because I'm terrible at those. I'm terrible at like not knowing what is coming or what they're going to have me design. But if they're just asking me these same questions, like it's wraps. So just pay attention to those patterns, write down those answers, and just figure out how you can, give some better responses in the future, and you're golden.
Yeah. And how is the first weeks and months of being a UX and UI designer? Did you feel prepared, Nkosi?
Yeah, I did not feel prepared. I won't lie, like I had all the resources and everything available to me, but I don't know why. And I kind of had this conversation with Christie. Even after I got my offer and everything, I don't know. I felt like, oh, something's gonna cover my background. I don't want to set my expectations too high. Like I don't want to waste time. But I definitely had the tools available for me to succeed. Definitely take as much time as you can to refine on skills that you need more education in. Because I told them in their interview for Credera specifically that I needed to work on my knowledge with components and auto layout and so on and so forth. First things they have me doing is helping refine the design system and scaling it up at Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe they did this to me. But like, if I had taken the time to, refine those skills, rewatch those videos that are in CJ, or, rewatch some YouTube videos, I definitely would have been perfectly fine at this. So definitely, guys, any skills that you learn, especially when it comes to like these tools in Figma, they're going to be so impressed by it because my associate design director is still getting used to a lot of these things. So absolutely, CJ has so many resources for you to learn. Take advantage of it because none of it is a waste of time.
Awesome. And what about you, Nikki? Did you feel prepared?
Yes. So I feel like there's a difference between feeling prepared and feeling ready. So I felt like very well equipped. Like I knew my stuff. You could ask me to spell it backwards and I could probably do it. And I felt confident in that. However, just like any new job, any new environment, stepping in, not knowing how they do things, if they have the same experience as you do, if they do things differently for X, Y, or Z. Tomorrow will be officially a month that I've been at Disney. And it has been a roller coaster. It's not a roller coaster because it was very slow because everybody knows that you're new. And so they're like, just become familiar and learn, listen to what they're doing. They have critiques. So I've been being able to take a sneak peek into their work. And when I finally got my first designs, I wasn't so much worried about what I could do, which is a great feeling. It was more if what I could do catered to what they were looking for, which would really depend just on where you go. And that won't change. That will be anywhere you go. So yeah, prepared, but maybe not ready.
Awesome. And what about you, Christy?
For me personally, did I feel prepared or ready? One thing I could say is I'm glad that I took the Avocademy, and I'm glad that I took CJ, which is Career Jumpstart. And I'm glad that while I was in Career Jumpstart, that most of my roles were the team lead, because that helps me in terms of communicating, in terms of learning how to soft skills, because soft skills are very important. Like in one of my projects, everyone knew how to design we could do, but it was just more of communicating with people, with the client. Again, I could have said to the client, sorry, I'm late. It was like, thank you so much for your patience. Here goes the wireframe. So it's just learning how to talk to people and word things. and also working with the senior UX designer, and also working with like the PM with Career Jumpstart. You are working with, again, real life clients, real life people. And I feel like because I had that training, I was more confident in myself. And because I was a lead, I was more confident, just because being a lead, you have to know how to listen to others. I felt like, again, if I did, like, because I did the whole, like the Google UX on Coursera, and again, you couldn't tell me nothing. When I tell you couldn't tell me nothing, you could tell me, and because I was so ignorant, I was like, yeah, I could get a job. I'm ready. I was like, okay, now how do I get a portfolio? And that was one of the biggest things, was I did not know how to make a portfolio. And there were so many websites and stuff like Webflow and all these other websites out there. So in terms of being ready, like when I first got my offer, it was funny because the first thing I said to Maka was, I don't know how to speak English. Why would they give me an offer? I said, I don't think I could even spell. I have Grammarly on my laptop. I can't even speak good English. And then of course, she was like, Christie, you got this. So, and with my job, it's not remote, so it's in person. So people are literally seeing me and seeing how I work. So in terms of being ready, yes, I felt ready. And I think someone else had a question in terms of the onboarding. Like, one thing I like about tech is no one has to train you to do anything, because you already know how to do it already. Like you already know how to use Figma. You already know how to do most of the tools already. So with me, by I think day 4 of my job, they had me design, and I was not ready. And it was a software that I use, but I'm not familiar with. And they're like, if you know one, you know the other. And I was just like, let's see how this goes. I was like, it's only a matter of time before they fire me. It went well, as you can see, it went well. And it's just showing up, ask a lot of questions, you're new, and it's just showing up. And I was like, I hope I could design. Let's see what I'm gonna give you. You better say a prayer. So yes, I felt ready for my job. Like once, I calmed down, imposter syndrome, I felt ready because I was trained. That's one of the reasons why I got a career in UX design, because I wanted someone to train me on the tools, train me on auto layout, show me components, frames, show me all this, show me desktop, show me mobile. So that way, when I come to my job, they can never say Christie's not qualified, because I came with a set of tools. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you all for sharing that. I did get a question, and I'm so happy that you mentioned it, Christie, about you being in office. And this question is, do you prefer remote work or do you like being in the office? So I'm going to start off with you first, because you kind of mentioned it, and then we'll go around.
Honestly, it's a hate and love it, just because I have, like, if I drive to town, my commute is like 30 minutes. If I take public transportation, it's like an hour and 10 minutes. And it's a little weird because COVID, like I'm in the office, COVID still exists, but we're in office, but we all use Team to present everything, go over wireframe, and we all go in different office. And so everyone still has that mindset of working remote, even though I'm in an office. And sometimes I'm just like, what the hell? George, I need this right now, George. And George is like, book a call with me, put it on Teams. And I'm like, really, George, I'm right here. So that part is a little weird. Or like, we use Team to communicate, the team chat. And I'm just like, I'm right here. So that part's a little weird because I'm in the office, and the person I kind of like work with, we sometimes just chat. And literally we're right next to each other. So I found that part to be a little weird. But it's okay. I like it, and it helps build character, so I can't complain.
I feel like that only happens in tech. That only happens in tech. I've never seen that elsewhere. But that's awesome. What about you, Nikki? Do you prefer working remotely or in the office?
So before COVID, I actually already worked remote. So I've gotten very used to it. My wardrobe consists of different sweatsuits and or pajamas. So I am very used to it, and so are my pets. I will say working from home has its benefits, of course, but it also makes you have to be that much more like organized and focused. I find it very tempting to stop doing something that seems difficult to go put a load of laundry on, and nobody likes doing laundry, you know? So as long as you kind of like find your routine, I feel like remote work to me has been like the best thing. I don't know, if I don't want to take a lunch break, I take a little doggy nap on the couch with my pets, and and I would not trade that for anything in the world. So that's me. I don't think I'd go back to the office if I didn't have to, but I'd meet up for coffee. I know Disney does like a once a month get together with the design team, and I live about 2 hours away from Orlando, so hopefully soon I'll get the courage to drive 2 hours for a cup of coffee with my team, but I prefer it here for sure.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask you that if you were based in Orlando and if you had to kind of go to the facility, but that's pretty cool. I mean, you can get to meet your team and still, you know, I guess like do team bonding once a month.
Yeah, they do offer the possibility. I have access to one of the buildings where you can like rent a desk or like reserve a desk. So they've been discussing the possibility of doing that like once a week in the new year. But again, they don't expect me to do it because I live 2 hours away. But yeah.
That's cool. And what about you, Nkosi? Do you work remotely, in person, and what do you prefer?
Yeah, so I chose to work hybrid because one of my other jobs was fully remote. And the reason for that is like I'm hate talking to people just like online, like whether that's just Teams or Slack or whatever, especially in a work environment. I'm so much better when it comes to like communicating in person. And not so much from like a work aspect, but just like from a personal thing. Like I really want to get to know like my team and like the type of people they are and like get to know them like outside of the environment. So like hybrid, which is better suited for me. And in terms of Credera, like I could be out of the country for a month and still like come back and be based wherever I am. And we have locations everywhere. So say for example, right now I chose to be based in New York. If I wanted to move back to LA or if I wanted to move to Washington or Atlanta, like I have that option because our locations are not so much set as like, oh, we have a team of designers, a senior, so on and so forth. Like it's very mixed match. Like some places have more designers than others. Other places have more consultants. It's just like where you're based geo for your salary expectations and so on and so forth. So I love that flexible environment. And I love the fact that, you know, I could be like, hey guys, like I have this meeting or I have this appointment or I'm just tired today. I will hop back on later tonight and like do that work. And because of this model, like they're like, Nkosi, you're totally fine. Just thank you for the keeping tabs and like we're good. And you know, for the previous point, I wanted to mention this for the onboarding and training. My company does have onboarding and so on and so forth and training. And one thing, when they saw like how, you know, much work I need to get done in terms of design systems, they actually scheduled a meeting for helping me get better with components. So like that's one reason why I'm glad I chose this company, is they saw like a place where I could like work in instead of like, you know, giving me slack for it and being like, bro, why did we even hire you? So on and so forth. You know, they're like, yeah, like, you know, we see you're trying to like improve in this part of your design. Like here, we'll set up some time, you know, just to do a one-on-one with you. And I really appreciate that. And I think this model helps a lot because we have people all over the globe. So, you know, having that one person that's proficient in this and being able to contact them, it's like really helpful and really nice. So yeah, definitely love the flexibility, but I definitely understand the people that just want to work remote because you can literally be anywhere. I would not have self-control if that was me. So I had to do this for myself because I would not have a home if I was fully remote. I would not sit still.
You'd be just like traveling all the time.
For sure. Honestly, like every month, it would be so bad.
But I'm so glad that you mentioned the whole training and onboarding process because that's also one of the questions. So I wanted to ask if like all of y'all's companies also provided onboarding and training when you started. And if you want, Nikki, you can start.
Sure. So I did have onboarding, but it was more like your typical paperwork, getting access to all the things, getting your equipment, etc. In particular at Disney, I was told that I would be given like a mentor. And my mentor, actually, her name is also Nicole, so it's fun and also very confusing in meetings. But it's basically been they gave me kind of a period of just becoming familiar with things, like just looking in to see what other people are doing, just taking a look and not studying, but kind of like familiarizing yourself with where things are, where people get things from, what their style or their process is. And I think I really appreciated that, because even though I felt like I was cheating the system the first 2 weeks because I wasn't like hard on doing work. But it's super important to take advantage of that time and be like, okay, they're giving me this free time to become familiar and comfortable with where things are located and how things are done and who to ask what. That's huge. Learning who to ask is important. And then Disney has this thing where they really care about like the social aspect of the work environment. So they actually let us schedule one-on-one meetings with everyone in the design team, from management to other designers. So my first 2 weeks were literally just on and off like tea conversations with my team to be like, what do you do? And how does your day look? And how do you manage certain situations? So it was almost like interviewing the team. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And what about you, Christie? Did you get any training or onboard?
In terms of my onboarding, again, we're like a small New England insurance company, where we cover like Massachusetts all the way to like New Jersey. So in terms of my onboarding, I did not have a computer the first day, so I had to use my own computer, which is fine. And I did not have like the Adobe XD or Adobe Suite, again, which is fine because I feel like I'm always ready. Like I already had it on my own personal computer, so I was ready. In terms, I feel like honestly, again, I started my job like what, Monday, so by Thursday I was already designing. But it was like, okay, you're here for 8 hours, understand our product. And again, I work for an insurance company, so it was just 3 products that they covered, literally. So it was just quick and easy to learn. And it's kind of weird because I feel like I really got prepared for my job. And sometimes, like me personally thinking about myself, I'm like, I'm not the smartest one here. I'm not smart at all. But I feel like I was so ready and I was just so confident that I was able to quickly learn, quickly understand people's design system. They already had an existing design system. What they did not have was they have mobile and web, and there's kind of like a different team for that. So I had to like think on my feet, like, okay, how am I going to get these widgets or icons? And there's like plugins, and I was able to get it because I was also working with someone that had a background in graphic design. They're like, oh, you could just redo it. I'm like, I'm not redoing it. I'm copying and pasting. What's wrong with you? Redoing it? Ain't nobody got time for that. I was like, work smarter, not harder, honey. Let's YouTube it. And the one thing is, if you don't know how to do something, if you YouTube it, you're gonna be the best at it in like 5 minutes. Like if I did not know how to do something, like today, one of my job was how to take a screenshot of a web page, which I knew how to do, but I don't do every day. So I was like, I don't remember how to do this. And it was just like, oh, do inspect, control print, and or there was just some plugins on Chrome extensions that you were able to do. So if you don't know how to do something, either ask or just Google it.
I love that. Google is definitely my best friend. Like I use Google for everything. I did get a question about average starting salaries. So I'm just gonna give the average starting salary for Career Jumpstart in terms to all of our students. That is $85,000 a year. And if you guys want to share a range, if you feel comfortable, you can, of where your salary lies. And if not, you can opt out. It's totally okay. And Nkosi, you can start if you want. You can say opting out or no.
So straight up, your boy's making like 108K, and it is crazy. I don't think that salary set in. I've gotten my first paycheck, and like given a lot of it went to bills. But like it is like crazy because like when I first started applying to jobs, literally I remember I was looking at jobs that were like 70K and I was like, wow, that'd be great. And it's just like crazy being here because it's like, damn, like it hasn't even been like a year since. So like I know like, it's supposed to be a simple question, but like y'all, like honestly, like if I'm able to get here without a bachelor's, without like years of design experience, and given my geo is also New York, but still like definitely don't feel like you're an imposter. Like take your time to learn, just like defend your design decisions, learn what it means to translate your designs to development, um, learn principles as best as you can, and like you're solid. Like you're given so many resources in CJ, and I feel like a lot of people are capable of getting to the salary, but also soft skills. Like my job is very adamant about hiring people that are good at what they do, but also people that are easy to work with. So working on how you deal with like collaborating with others, your communication skills, so on and so forth is very important. And I feel like coming from a area of customer service helped me out a lot with that. So yeah, y'all, it's crazy. I honestly don't believe I'm making this much. But yeah, happy that CJ helped me out to get here. So yeah.
That's amazing. And what about you, Nikki? You want to opt out or you want to give a range? You don't have to give the exact one, but
Oh no,
just
I
in
don't
case.
mind. I'm so proud of myself, right?
Love
If
it.
anybody else worked in education, you know how hard it is to get by. And I was working in education in North Florida. So I actually doubled my salary. And I'm rounding in at 80K. So
That is amazing. That is amazing. And what about you, Christy? You want to opt out or you want to give a range?
All right, listen here, everyone. I'm gonna drop it in the chat. So here it is. There you go. That's how much I make. All I gotta say is know your worth and double that, because and never listen to what people say to you. Because I remember before I started this, I was dating this young man at Google and I told him I wanted to do something like computer engineer. And he said to me, you're not that, like basically in a nice way, he said, you're not smart enough to do this. In the most nicest way. He just said, oh, it's challenging. Are you sure you want to do this? It's gonna be a little challenging. All you need is that one person that believes in you. And if you have that one person that believes in you, as corny, as stupid as it sounds, and I'm just like, you sound stupid. I'm like, do you look for this too? But yes, I'm glad I'm not dating him anymore. But if you have that one person that believes in you, it's awesome. Like Carla, the Avocademy people will check on you. Like if you like fall off the grid, they'll say, "Are you okay? Like what happened?" Or they will really check on you. They will take the time to listen to you. And there was times where I was like, 50K sounds like a lot of money. I think I'll do that. Mind you, I live in Massachusetts. That's nothing. And I was like, I'll take anything right now. I was like, give me a bone. But when I finally know my worth, I was like, no, this is not enough. And then I start climbing up the ladder. So yeah. And again, guys, I dropped my salary in the chat if anyone missed that.
And
That's
my
awesome.
bad. I'm
Go for
sorry,
it. Sorry.
Carla. I also want to add on that point, just to add a little pettiness to this. The second job I interviewed for was this random film agency in Ohio. And I told him my range. I was being very generous. I was like 65 to like, I think it was like 90K. He said that I wouldn't touch 90K. He said that the best he could possibly do is like 70K for me. So the fact that I went from that to getting like, 2 offers in the 6 figures is crazy. And I wish I had that man's information so I could send him my offer letter. Be like, what was that? But nah, honestly, like really happy and grateful for this opportunity and definitely want to make the most of it. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're all good. I'm so proud of y'all, to be honest, to like fully be happy and understand your worth and, just like work really hard. Especially Christy. Christy, I can't believe I spoke to you at the beginning and now look at you. That's awesome. I do have one last and final question, and that would be, what's one tip that y'all would like to give to folks breaking or looking into breaking into tech? Like one tip. And whoever wants to go first, go for it.
If it was like one tip, it would be believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, it's you. Like do it for yourself. Don't do it for your mom, your brother, or nothing. No, you have to be passionate about this, because there's some days, like I work in tech right now, there's some days that are good, there's some days that are bad. So believe in yourself. And I know it says one tip, and don't have an ego. Like be ready for like, feedback or anything like that. But I would say believe, as corny again as it sounds, believe in yourself. And I'm like, really? I'm like, look at me. I'm like, believe in myself. Are you sure? No, like you have to believe in yourself and say, I can do it. And I know a lot of you, I used to be a fast speaker, and I'm still learning how to slow down. Sometimes I like Christie, slow down, no more coffee for you, but believe in yourself.
Okay, Nikki, if you guys want to go super fast, we have 1 more minute. And
Yeah.
then any questions that didn't get answered or anything like that, please email info@avocademy.com and they'll cover those questions for y'all.
Definitely. So quickly, I would say to not ever leave a question unanswered. Always look for the answer to your questions. There's never a dumb one. It's never silly. You can repeat it. But always, always, always get your questions answered.
And doubling down on that, absolutely what Christy and Nikki said. I know someone mentioned imposter syndrome. Like, honestly, just having that confidence, learning these tools, that's what's really going to help you, is really just like refining your skills, knowing your projects front and back, the decisions to why you did this. Imposter syndrome is going to, for me, it left as soon as I finished my portfolio, or even before that, when I was doing these projects. I'm like, I got here, I was approved to be here, and I have to work to show for it. Like, CJ is really going to set you up, and we're good examples of that in previous videos. So like, continue to get inspiration, reach out to who you need to. You have like all these people, that are rooting for you at CJ. If no one else in your family is, we are, honestly. And, just know you have a good backing. And, I really hope to see a lot of you all, share your wins in the future. I'll be keeping track in the avocados chat. I can remember the name of it, avocados. But yeah, that's
I'm like,
that's my
go
tip.
Avo family.
Yeah, for wherever, whatever chat I'm at.
Well, guys, it was lovely getting to chat with y'all today. Thank you for being part of this grad panel and everybody that joined us. I hope you have an incredible rest of your night, and bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.